permit? Ma'am, no cameras, please, no cameras.
Hi, my name is Braden.
And I'm Pierce.
Welcome to our 2009 homeschool video. Even though it is 2010, it's like at the beginning. But we hope you enjoy this documentary of what we did last year. Hope you enjoy it.
Hope you enjoy it.
Hello, my friend who likes to eat. Okay, he's going to ask you some questions about homeschooling. Tell me about what you do when you're homeschooling.
We get up and get dressed. And brush our teeth and wash our face. And then we start with our writing. And then we do our math. And then Braden goes to go on math, going to do fractions, and I do bar graphs. And then me and my brother just play in the snow because I'm really happy it snowed yesterday.
I decided to homeschool because I have two older brothers, and they, to me, were brilliant, really smart, but I just didn't understand what happened when they went to school. I grew up in South Central LA, and my brother was just passed over year to year to year. And then when we got to Texas, my mother split in her relationship, and it was just very difficult being a single mom of 4 kids in LA. We moved back to her hometown in Sweetwater, Texas, and they gave my brother a placement test. And he was supposed to be in 10th grade. I was going into 8th grade at the time. And they gave him a placement test, and he was on a 5th grade level. Now, he had graduated. He had walked and, from junior high school. So that was pretty devastating for him. And he eventually dropped out. And my oldest brother, he did not get a high school diploma, but when he was in his 30s, he decided to take it upon himself to go back to school, started at community college, went through, got his bachelor's, his master's, and he's all but dissertation in a PhD program. To ask you too is, your mother, 4 children, 2 boys. Did you see a difference between how your boys were able to navigate school compared to your girls? Do you have any thoughts about it, or LA schools versus Texas schools, or?
Well, because I was always at work,
Mhm.
I guess the only one I spent time with was you. Of course, I just didn't understand the conflicts that they had,
Mhm.
uh, the fighting and all that stuff,
Mhm.
and then whatever they said was true. I remember when Tennille went out in the valley, and he was out there for a day, maybe.
Mhm.
I was always been called to school the referee for the
Mhm.
boys.
Hmm. For what?
Um, well, Tennille quit going to school. I found out later it was because he was being rushed by the gangbangers and something else I never knew anything about.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was totally different. And then, of course, Monty with the invention of that, put them in the slow school.
Mhm.
I didn't understand that, but he never had homework. He never had anything to do. It was just, and the whole thing was just like marching, trying to get to the next place, not really registering what's really going on.
And when I was in Brett Hunt,
Mhm.
they started a program. Send all the niggas to the valley and send all the white people over here on a bus. You remember that? It was bad for me. I remember this one incident I can tell you about. I was just minding my business. I never felt welcome no matter where I went. It was never a welcoming feeling. It was never a feeling of it. Hey, you know what? You can be somebody. It was never that. It was always, I felt like I was an
Wow. See, this is why we do what we do. Because if anybody were to walk past these kids on the street, they would make assumptions about what they could do and who they could be. And we do that all the time to each other and to our kids. We put them in boxes and in baskets, and we place lids on them, and we don't let them out because of our issues. All of these young people have some kind of potential in them. And if we don't invest in them as a nation, regardless of where they come from or what color they are, if we don't invest in them, we lose.
We have to live here in the world, but we don't want to sacrifice our children to your culture and how you see them. So in that sense, it was very political for me. I was not willing to hand him over to someone who is never going to have the same expectation or see him for the genius that he is. And so there was no reason for me to, there were many reasons I probably could have put him in school, but now seeing how free he is, how he is himself in the space, I mean, there is there's a benefit to being able to code switch, but there's also more. I think it's better for your life and your well-being if you can walk into every space as yourself, speak in your own voice, and have the same expectation of things will go well and I expect you to do this being who I am right now, where there's the things that I'm learning from him, just watching that happen.
It was like through my interactions with other kids my age and that kind of thing that like I wasn't really like, I understood that I was learning and that I was learning similar things. But just the way we were going about it was different. So I ended up learning, I guess, like, I don't really know if there was a perception of like the depth of stuff that I was learning and how that might have been different. But I knew that it was different.
Uh-oh, it's being documented. Yeah, I haven't been along that. Yeah, I know they've developed that program.
At the Academy of Natural Sciences, you know, we would go there and volunteer, and then you would have school groups come in, and we would have to teach them how to dig, push and twist and stuff.
There's a lot of sand and dirt in there. You don't want to get that in your eye. And this is your tool. You dig, push, and twist. On the sides. Don't chop. It might take a process. Or that. Right here. Over here. Come up. Pressures up the skull. Pressures up the arm. Here, there, and there. Or the pressures up the skull.
Neanderthal he's got this bump on the top of his head. It may be a horn when it was alive, or it could just be from muscles. What about this one?
Like I would talk to, a few students per group and that kind of thing. We would talk, and from those experiences, I was like, okay, I'm doing something different because they're talking about stuff I don't do, and I'm talking about stuff they don't do. But it's kind of similar but different, but it kind of gives me like some sense of self that like is clearly different than the average human experience, or at least in America.
So do you like being homeschooled? Do you sometimes think about going to regular school?
I don't want to go to school because I'll miss my mom and my dad.
You'd see us just as much as other kids see their parents.
But I want to see you more. I want to see them on the whole day.
You don't get tired of being with me all day? I like being with you too.
See that tree on the corner right there? You have to walk up that thing. It's like a...
See this woman? This woman is the pain of my life.
Chris, we're sending this to Dad.
No! My God!
Ow, that hurt a lot.
Don't scare me, Brayden!
right
Run along, child!
Right on my nipple. Oh, it's swollen.
I think NYO2 can help me achieve my goals by just being in a community where there are other people who love the same thing that I love, and taking ideas and suggestions from them and just getting used. I don't know. I didn't get any sleep yesterday. I can't even think about what 2 + 2 is. I'm tired.
Dynamic stuff has always been like something I think is like in my internal monologue is like on a back burner, and when I think about it, like everything was in practice, not like in retrospect. I feel like I know a lot more about your personality than I do about Dad's. Dad was always working most of the time. He worked late afterwards on weekends. So I feel like most of my interactions with him were probably lighter because there wasn't enough time for us to butt heads about stuff because we were spending a lot of time separate.
Practice together.
后人，我家住后人，爷爷和奶奶，爸爸和妈妈，哥哥和姐姐。
Road Latina is between Rome and Capuam. Road Flamania is between Rome and Ariminum.
So this is a TV tennis game. It's kind of like Pong, but except it goes across the screen. So this part is like the brain that controls all of this. And these are the buttons. This is their start button. If you have different combinations, you can put them at different lightings. This is the brightness controller. This is an I/O jack. This is the video jack. Lots of capacitors. You have an LED light. And I decided it on the bottom. Some places are still a little bit raggedy, so I have to fix those. But otherwise, I think it's good.
So it was always like, nice to see Dad. But he's also like a much more reserved kind of personality, that was like the context which we compared you against. But because you were so active in our lives, like we were your project, in a sense, like we saw like a part of like the just as much as you were our mom, and like that was an idea, like so was the idea of work ethic as well. So like trying to get through the frustration that you felt when trying to raise us was like what we associated with the idea of mom in general, which wasn't necessarily what we saw with Dad. Like it was just like the inverse situation with Dad. So whereas that work ethic was directed towards us, Dad's work ethic was directed towards his work, and then like the parenting stuff was kind of like in between that stuff, because like you guys had to do what you guys had to do to get from point A to point B.
I think growing up, I kind of spent, like there was so much time that was focused on like kind of either like, locking in the schoolwork, or like in this this time where I was just like, oh, let me like de-stress and play Spiral Knights or Minecraft or something like that. I think we were kind of awake at different hours, or it was like he worked so much, like it would just be like he's exhausted, or I would be asleep when he got home, or when he gets home he's like, I just need to go to bed, that type of thing. So so like the times where we did have, like it was really fun, we were like, yeah, let's go to the movies, let's go to a park, let's take us to the swimming pool, like things like that. So it was super fun. So like the memories that I have is like they're super fun, and it's like I want to create more of those.
What you got there?
Chapter 3.
Of what?
Of mouse.
Mouse.
It's how you say mouse in German.
Why do you have mouse with the swastika on the front?
Because we talked about it. My mom read it. It's kind of like a comic book. Look. So they charted from here over to here. They had a war. And one mouse, put on like a mask that looked like a pig. And then he traveled back to his state and he saw his family.
else craving tuna?